Twin Two Wheels podcast. This is Tyler Yonke. We've got a stage for you today. Stage 19, Logroño to Alto de Moncalvillo, 164.8 kilometers. Look, it's the inevitable, right? We expected Ben O'Connor to fail at some point and for Roglic to come good. This is the day we are expecting things to happen. But back in 2020, this exact stage featured some drama, Roglic cracking, Carapaz taking over. Will we have the same today? Find out. Coming up. And welcome everybody. This is Tyler Yonke. I hope you've been enjoying the coverage. We're back at it today. An interesting stage, and we'll talk about it. What did you expect? Ben O'Connor comes into this with a 5-second lead. Look, back a few stages ago, we talked about this where Roglic decided to change to the one by, get the 20-second penalty. He would have been in red at that point. He was not in red, but we're going to flash back to 2020 and some similarities on this stage. Really? Yeah. Now 2020, COVID, the Vuelta was shortened. I think it was only 18 stages in total. It was in November. So if you look at the video of this day, as a matter of fact, it's kind of gloomy, but then they're above the tree line and the sun's already setting. It's a much different perspective than kind of what you had on today's race. But I thought it would nevertheless be interesting. But here's today's stage, Logroño to Alto de Moncalvillo. And if you look at the route here, they take off and they do this big loop out here, hit this Cat 3, the Puerto de Pradilla. But I mean, look, you leave Logroño, you just take a left here, and boom, hit the to Ventosa, and you just head up the climb. That's what I'm sure there's a lot of guys in this race that would have loved to have done that today, but that was not on tap. That was not what they were going to do. Because here we go, the first climb up the Puerto de Pradilla, Cat 3, 5.3 kilometers at 5%. Okay, and then the Alto de Moncalvillo, a monster, 8.6 at 8.9%. Gets pretty steep up there near the top. And just to break this down real quick, we're just going to go straight to the climb, basically, because you did have a breakaway going up the road. Marc Soler was part of that break. And why? Well, he wants to get 1 point over Jay Vine, so he gets the points that he needs to go into the KOM jersey, and he does get that. There's a Mihailovic, I think, I don't know, some other riders up there, Bahrain rider. It doesn't matter. But if you look back, and let's do this. Let's go back to the Wayback Machine, okay? We're going to go, oops, it's the wrong one. Stop screen sharing there. If we go back to the Wayback Machine, stage 17 of the Vuelta 2020, here it is, coming into this climb. But now what's interesting is coming into the climb, once again, you had Marc Soler was on the front. Well, he was in the break. Let's see if I can find it here. He was in the break. He was cruising up the road, just like always. The break comes up here. They catch him. You have several different similar riders. David Gaudu gets the win, but what you had here was Carapaz attacking Roglic way down the hill, and Roglic suffering. He had Sepp Kuss there. Sepp wasn't able to do much help with him. Jonas Vingegaard, this was the race that Jonas kind of came out. He started to ride really good on a few rides here, but he lost like 15, 20 minutes on this stage. Sepp loses 5 or so. Roglic fights to the end, actually comes across the line, digs deep a little bit, had a little bit of help from a few other riders there. He had a teammate up the road, gets him up there, and he's able to salvage his Vuelta, the 2020 Vuelta, by 24 seconds. But Carapaz put a little bit hurt into him coming up to this. So this is the deal. We're gonna. It's too early for us to even have a full spotlight. A YouTube like video up, the highlights for me to go through this. But I'm just gonna walk you through it. They come into the last climb, like I said, 8-point-something kilometers. I spoke about this yesterday, and I saw a video. And by the way, if you know me at all here and you've watched this before, I'm a fan of Sepp Kuss. Big win last year. A big fan of his. I try not to be, I just want him to do well. And I just don't think I'm trying not to give excuses. But But you can look back over his racing. This is not the Sepp Kuss that we've seen. And then you don't have any support. So typically, and I talked about this yesterday, which is you're in a stage, shit goes off crazy. Cat 1 in the middle. He doesn't expect it. He's even said that on an interview today. I didn't, expect. I think he wasn't attentive. That's a problem. That's on him. But also, he had no teammates around him. That is another problem of the team, and we've seen that over and over and over. Now, granted, what are you going to do? I'm saying yesterday, and we'll have to see today. He's a top 10 rider. He doesn't care, I think, about a top 10. He wants a stage win or he wants the win. But it's just an interesting aspect to watch that there's no one supporting him. So today they come into the bottom of this climb. Now we talked about this. I'm going to see if I get these stages right. Stage 4, maybe it was 6 or 8. There was positioning issues at the bottom of these climbs. Remember, he got in the wreck on the one, and then stage 4 comes around there and he has to move up and up. He doesn't have any positioning, and then they don't put him into position, and then they don't actually. There's no one there to help him anyway if he's getting dropped or gapped. Now today, they're going into the bottom of the climb. I'm seeing a rider actually on his team trying to get him up there, and gets him up into like 7th place, and then or 8th or somewhere in that top section, and then just sits up. And you're like, okay, well, once again, keep riding, maybe ride a little bit further. Now Kreuzwick is there. Kreuzwick does nothing for him. So once again, Sepp then is about top 15 riders on the day. And I'm not saying that's the problem, but it is interesting to see that there's no support around. And by the way, my point of doing this is all through these races, when you've had Jonas winning, when you have Roglic winning, it's Sepp Kuss is that rider there that's not only putting them in position, he is then in there to support them, close those gaps. We've talked about that, the Giro last year, that would not have been won at the end if it wasn't for Sepp Kuss drilling himself. I'm trying to remember, I think it was like stage 18, 17, 18, somewhere in that range, catching Almeida and Thomas. So he's done amazing work, and there's no one for him in this race, which is... And you go like, Tyler, it's a top 10. We're looking at here. It's whatever. It's the Vuelta. My point is, this is a team that win at the Giro last year, win at the Tour this last year. They've had multiple wins at the Tour. They've won the Vuelta over and over and over. And you have no one on this team that can support Sepp Kuss. No one. Zero. I mean, no one in the mountains. That is, to me, an interesting fact of maybe the problem of this team. Now, what are you going to do? Bring Jorgensen in? I don't know. You're going to do something. This is one you have not won now, Sepp was not there for us this year. So, Tyler, what's the point? You're exactly the point. Okay, let's go into this now. Bora comes into the bottom of the climb, and they start putting people on the front. They're doing good. Carapaz is up there. Remember, we just talked about 2020 where he had this. And you can see what he did attacking yesterday. He's looking good. He had a good end of the Tour. Everything's looking good. Ben O'Connor's concerned about losing his 5 seconds to Roglic, and here we have it. But Bora starts lighting it up and coming up to about bottom 8. They're just on the front. Lipowitz is not really helping. I think he's riding for his own deal. Roglic said in an interview just a few minutes ago that I heard that I think it's hard to sometimes his accent and the way he talks, but he said. Something along the lines of, I'm not going to say who. That's literally what he said. He goes, I'm not going to say who, but someone wanted to, win this stage. So it sounded like his team, he wasn't interested in winning the stage, and the team went on the front and drilled it. Kind of like we heard last year with Pogacar, in the Giro, where he's like, I don't want to do it. The boys wanted to win. Here we go. Maybe that's the case. Danny Martinez gets on there around 6 kilometers to go, starts putting the pedal down hard. You're seeing some guys come out the back. There's already a gap that forms. It's Vlasov on Danny Martinez's wheel, and then Roglic, and then they're splitting everybody off. And they start to just go up the road. Danny Martinez is done. Vlasov takes over for a bit, and soon it's just Roglic solo. David Gaudu from the back. Remember, he won this stage up here in 2020. He attacks out of the group. Carapaz tries to make the moves. O'Connor's getting peeled off. Seppa's having some trouble. It's all a mix here. There's riders kind of on the road, and then you start seeing Sepp, Eddie Dunbar, and a few others coming back to the group. You also see Skilmos up there. Yates is losing time. Sivakov is losing time. And by the way, if you are concerned about, like I just talked about here, Sepp Kuss getting in the top 10, those are two guys that you would have easily stepped over today because you were a minute off of them. You put over a minute into both of them today. easily would have been a top 10 ride for you. So if the team wanted it, like I said, Nish and Gurman the other day on one of their videos had a whole thing about Sepp, we're going to get top 10, then you fucking put someone that can help ride with him so he doesn't lose almost 4 minutes on a mid stage that you're not supposed to lose any time to. Okay, so here we go. We've got Roglic up here. It's 1.5 kilometers or so left to go. He's going. Enric Mas, that's another one. Enric Mas had taken a step, gone up there. He was about 32 seconds off of Roglic, trying to make progress, but Roglic was just pounding his way up this climb. No problem here. He starts to get, and then Sepp makes his way up there. Landa starts coming back up to, and this is what's interesting. You had Landa with a little bit of a problem today. You had Sepp with a little bit of a problem, but they were able to get back up to this group and then go forward. It's a weird, I don't know what you're doing when you typically don't see Sepp ride that way. You see him riding from the front, even Landa, but they were kind of doing the Almeida thing with it. And you've seen both of those do this and several times this tour, losing ground, but then making it up at the end. I don't know. Ben O'Connor was having trouble. He didn't have any teammates around him. Roglic kept doing fine. Mas is doing fine. He's trying to bring it in, but Roglic has no trouble getting this, and I think it was about a minute faster than his time in 2020, which makes sense because he cracked horribly. Enric Mas gets passed by Gadu here at the finish. Skilmos sprints past Enric Mas as well, so they get second for Gadu. First in 2020, second here today. Skilmos gets third, Enric Mas in fourth, and then they start coming in bits and drags just right behind him. Landa, Lipowitz, Eddie Dunbar, Sepp Kuss, and he gets over the top of Carapaz coming up here. But Ben O'Connor fighting to the finish, loses about, I want to say, a minute 50 or so on the red jersey. I mean, he is the red jersey, but he's going to be giving it up to Roglic here, and he does drop out of the first place. But we'll say, hey, did he hold on to second? Well, let's take a look, Tyler. Let's take a look at the that's the stage profile. I think this is okay. So here you go for the results. I'm sorry, that's the GC. Roglic, Gadu, Skilmos, Mas, Landa, Carlos Rodriguez for Ineos. That was Carlos, sorry, not Lipowitz. Dunbar, Sepp Kuss. So all these guys here, coming in dribs and drabs. As you saw, Enric Mas was 20 seconds, and then he starts losing, and he's down, almost 50 seconds at the finish here. Really dove nosedive. Landa comes across here. Carlos Rodriguez. He's in the white jersey. Eddie Dunbar, Sepp Kuss. So it looks like Rodriguez is solidifying his white jersey there a bit. Carapaz, Lipowitz, Matthew Riccatello, solid job there. Just a minute 30 does come in front of Ben O'Connor. So we didn't really even get to see him much on the climb at all. Good for the Israel Primatech rider, or IPT, as they like to say it on Flow, I guess. Hey, you get nation states or even I'm not going to get into that one. Fighting over there, and I think that's a problem. So there you go. Now let's take a look at the GC. So as expected, Roglic now in commanding lead. This is the time one loss. He's got a minute 54 on him, but he took a minute 59 on him today. Enric Mas down a minute because there's time bonuses, so that 50 seconds turns into a minute. Carapaz loses 113, Gadu 50, 52 for Skilmos. They both got time bonuses. And we saw here Sepp Kuss down 111. He's now moved into 11th place. And as I said, Sivakov, he would have easily, Sivakov loses an additional minute 15 or so from Sepp Kuss, and that would have been easily, he would have been in 10th place, probably with no problems. He still has a chance to move up in there, and he would have actually been very close here in this 7th time to even skip into maybe 8th, 9th, if depending on how the next few days go. Who was the big loser on the day? Let's see. Max Poole loses 3. Anybody else lose more time? Obviously, Ben O'Connor. No one else there. Did anybody get a DNS or no? We got guys still finishing, it looks like. So what did we expect out of this today? Is exactly what we expected. This is exactly what we got, which is we're going to get Roglic into the lead. We're going to get Ben O'Connor having a little bit of a suffer, but Ben O'Connor does actually hold his 2nd place. He's got, well, let's go back here. Let's bring this back up to the stage here. Take off the time one loss so it doesn't confuse anybody. And 154. So you got a little bit of a gap there to what, 20. almost 30 seconds to Enric Mas. So you're going to have to do something, Mas to Carapaz. Carapaz lost more time to him today. So, I mean, Carapaz is going to be hard-pressed to get up into third place. You're going to have to do something pretty big tomorrow. David Gaudu is looking better and better every day. So is Skilmos. But they're still, they gained a little bit of time here, but they still have a ways to go. So, let's actually go back and take a look at points competition. No problem for Caden Groves over Max Poole. Soler now goes into the lead by 1 point over Jay Vine. The youth jersey, Skilmos. Skilmos took the lead today. Nice to see. I'm pretty happy about that, actually. Riccatello moves up into fourth place. Very solid for him, but look, an hour back. This is crazy. Look, you got these top three, which is 8 seconds separates first and second. A minute 8 separates first, second, and third. And then an hour and 8 minutes and 7 seconds separates third. That's his time to the overall. So tight grouping to the top and not so much at the bottom. And then the UAE Team Emirates is slaughtering everybody, which they've been doing very well on the team classification. Okay. This was today's stage. Okay, good stuff, good drama. We got what we expected, which is Roglic in the lead. I would be interested to see if Ben O'Connor could still hold on. I definitely. I'm sorry. I'm maybe I'm a little ADHD here today, but let's go back because of what I do want to look at here. Let's go to the stage, and then let's just start a breakdown by teams. We don't really care about Alpecin. They don't have anybody up in there. Arkea, they should have Christian Rodriguez. He's been doing fairly good. Fortuneo for what was the team? Astana. Bahrain had Jack Haig, 9 minutes back there. Cofidis, they're not going to have anybody. Decathlon, there we go. So you had Parapente, he was helping. Felix Gall, 17 minutes lost on the day. He's just, ever since there was that conflict between those two, between Ben O'Connor and Felix Gall, where Felix Gall basically distanced O'Connor for a few times, this has not gone well for Felix. Makes you wonder if Ben poisoned him, gave him something in his food, maybe coughed in his face. I don't know what happened, but something happened to Felix Gall because he has not been able to support the team. But luckily, you've been having Valentin Palaprentre. He and Clement have at least given him some support on the climb, which has been helpful. EF, he's also Richard Carapaz has had some help. At least he had it up on the climb today to begin with, and then those riders started peeling away. But at that point, it's what it is. But like I said, we talked about with Sepp, it would be nice to have someone put you in position, and they did that for him. Equipo Kern Pharma, look, 3:20. They had two guys at 3 minutes back today. Not the best, but they've had 3 stage win. Euskaltel 2:44 for Mikel Bezerg. Cara, David Gaudu up there doing well for Groupama. Ineos. Now, Carlos Rodriguez had some positioning problems today, and Narvaez was up there. He pulls out of the line pretty quick in the first few kilometers of that climb. But get your boy up there. Once again, it's kind of the same thing with Visma. Intermarché, Louis Menkes, I think he was in the break today, sat up for 7 minutes back. Israel Primatech had our boy Matthew Riccatello doing a fine ride, 11th on the day. George Bennett has just been drifting down. Remember, he was trying to get up there in the top 10 at one point. Little Trek, Skilmos, Sam Uman, but Skilmos is their obvious rider, is doing well. No one for Lotto Destiny. Movistar had Enric Mas. Not much support from the team other than that on the climb. Nairo, Sia, Roglic, Lipowitz, Vlasov, Martinez, Aliotti. They were all just killing it today for Roglic, and they did well. I mean, there's all those riders were very it's instrumental in the break there today, and then controlling everything. Landa, he did fine, 57 seconds down, but Cantanero didn't have much help. James Knox and those guys lost a bunch of time. DSM, they were nowhere to be seen on there. Jayco, they did have Eddie Dunbar, a little bit solo, good for him. Team Visma, Lisa Bike, Sepp Kuss comes in at 101. Steven Kreisbeck decides to fight his way to the finish, losing 2:59, no help for Sepp Kuss from either him or Robert Hassink. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe. And then Sivakov and Yates down there at the bottom, McNulty. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm missing something here. Victor says, like the show, everybody. Subscribe so you get the notifications. Maybe I'm missing something here and I'm not seeing proper. That could very well be. Here was today's stage. Let's go to tomorrow's. This is the barn burner. I don't know. They called Granada the Queen Stage. Now they're calling this one the Queen Stage. There's no HC category climbs here, but as we discussed yesterday, it's 3, 6, 7. Is it 7 climbs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categorized climbs. Cat 3s, 2s, and multiple 1s. 3 1s, 2 2s, and 2 3s, with an intermediate bonus, actually a bonus here at the top of the Cat 1, some little time for you guys there, and then an intermediate sprint right at the foot of the final climb. That's not going to be useful for much of anybody. Is a breakaway going to get up the road? It's going to be, might do it. Let's take a look at the actual route too. It's a confusing thing here. They go from Villacayo to Pincon Blanco, and how many? 172 kilometers here. So they start down here, they move up, they do a few circles, they do another loop, and then come all the way out and end up over here. So, interesting day. Here's the climbs, starting with the first one, the Cat 1. Cat 3 doesn't look to be a problem. This Cat 3 doesn't look to be a problem. This Cat 2 here starts to get worrisome. It's got a pitch, descent, and then a pitch in it. This Cat 1 here, the Lunada, comes in 13, 14 kilometers long with some steep pitches. The Puerto de la Silla, that's not as bad. The Cat 2, then they hit these next 2 Cat 1s, the Puerto de los Tornos, 11 kilometers, 5.8. That's not so bad, but the final one does have some nasty pitches. 8 kilometers at 9% with some steep pitches after a long day in the saddle and a lot of up and downs. This is going to be one, you look at the way that these work, you look at today's, and you look at the strategy for taking out Roglic, which is a day like this, you batter everybody, and then you're able to hang on with him, and maybe he has a little bit of a bad day. Today's stage was the type that Roglic liked, which is not so hard, not so bad, and then he just effing puts down the watts per kilogram that you can't do for 4 kilometers, which is exactly what happened. And he put a minute on almost everybody today plus. So tomorrow is a good chance for him to falter, but he's going to be in the red jersey. We know how Roglic rides. Not likely that is going to happen. Other than that, then we've got the last day. Last stage, we talked about the final time trial, and oops, there we go. And if you don't, if you don't drop Roglic and put a minute on him like he did to you today, you're not going to have a chance on him on this final time trial. So that is the deal. Who's going to win tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe we'll start to look at David Gaudu or Skilmos. Skilmos Trek needs to get their win. Sepp Kuss said today, he goes, look, I would rather have a stage win than a top 10, okay? And the way he finished that, the last 2 kilometers was pretty good. He's distanced, he was out of the picture, and then he's back. So he's like, look, maybe losing the time yesterday, people will let me get up into the break. Maybe you're going to see him in the break tomorrow. If that's the case, you're going to need him and like Attila Volta, maybe up there, someone that can drive the pace for him and do some climbing as well to get him up and over these and have a teammate. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Other than that, you're going to see probably a Carapaz. Enric Mas still needs a stage win. So you need to get some of these guys, right? I don't think Mas has won a stage. So you still need some of these guys to try to get these stage wins. But Roglic is like, I don't need it, but he's going to take it if he can. So that's the way I see it. Other than that, it's been a fantastic Vuelta. I don't know if you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have, but it has been pretty good. And there you go. 23 minutes right in on the show. Not much more to say because, coming to the climb, blast the climb, and there you go. Not much more drama than that. All right, everybody, we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. I should be able to do a show, no problem. Maybe in the mid-afternoon, we'll see, but hit the like button, hit the notifications so that you make sure you get to see us when we go on live. We'll give you at least a few minutes notice. Till tomorrow. See ya.